Enthusiasm, in the darkness. I've learned to rely not just on my senses, but on my heart. I am emerald green, a blind werewolf. Under the protection of my mate Dylan, I thought I was safe. But when disaster struck, I had to face challenge after challenge alone. I lost my love and was forced to flee everything I knew. I was made to submit to a ruthless alpha. To my agent extraordinaire, Moonlight EP1, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Who treats me like a plaything, but when I discovered my own mother might be the mastermind behind it all, I knew I had to fight for survival. Imprisoned and forced to confront my fears, I never gave up hope. Until one day, in the depths of despair, I encountered Jace, an old friend I thought was long gone. His presence gave me new hope, but also new challenges. Watch out for that. I stopped immediately and shuffled a bit to the right and kept walking. There you go. You got it. Done, babe. I think I know how to walk through the house by now. I felt him shift next to me and he sighed. Yeah, but I just don't want you to get hurt, baby. You know how I feel about you in this end. I stuck my hand out and felt his chin. My head still down. I pulled him towards me. And do you know how I feel about you babying me? I can do it by myself, he sighed again, and I smiled lightly. He then stopped moving and his heartbeat slowed. That signaled me he was mind-linking someone. After a few he spoke. The alpha needs my assistant sugar lips. He cupped my cheek, sending sparks to fill my body. He then pulled me in and kissed my lips. I pecked back at his lips, wanting to hold that position forever. I then pulled away, a grin upon my face. Be careful, I said, and I heard him walking. The front door's creak then sounded. I will. Love you. Love you too. I heard his steps again and the door close. I stood still, smiling, and walked towards the kitchen. I went towards the sink and stopped. I felt my way around the sink and turned on the faucet. I felt around again, picking up a plate and started to wash it. I rinsed it off and put it down on the countertop. I then moved my hand back in and felt something sharp slice through my palm. I yelped a bit as the water was like salt, streaming through the cut. I pulled back and my other hand went up. I hissed and felt a warm liquid gush out of the cut. I felt my way around the kitchen looking for a rag and found one hanging off the stove handle. I applied pressure with the rag, wincing a bit. Dylan should feel my pain. He'll be rushing in at any minute. I cautiously walked around, finding a soft cushion and sitting on it. My hands touched the familiar texture of the couch, allowing me to relax. I felt the pillow under my head and waited. After about an hour I started to worry. He should be back. Maybe he didn't notice. I frowned at the thought. Dylan knew there. No response. I frowned again. KYA, where is Dylan? She was my wolf. I don't know, but I'm feeling antsy. Something is wrong. Try to find the Alpha scent and follow it to Alpha's office. I nodded. Might as well. I lifted the cloth and touched it, feeling its ting a bit, but the wound closed. Thank God for werewolf healing. I smirked a bit and found my way to the door. I opened it, walking out, feeling the fresh breeze hit me. I lifted my nose, letting my senses come tone, and could mentally see where I was going. I found Alpha's strong scent. It was mixed with the Luna's. I grinned at that and walked. People were talking and whispering as I walked by. I normally ignore what they have to say. I don't care anymore. I then caught the smell of Dylan. I kept following it, trying to not bump into anyone or anything. Eventually I made it into the main pack house. The scent led me to the stairs and I went up the flights. I then went down the unfamiliar hallway and found my way to a door. I heard shouting and growling coming from the other end. I turned the knob a bit, and the yelling seems to stop when I opened the door. Emerald, what are you doing here? Dylan said, trying not to yell. I could ask the same for you. I tilted my head a bit. Alpha Carson, why were you yelling at my mate? I heard someone groan in annoyance, making me frown, and someone slammed their fist down on the table. Go back home, Emerald, Alpha Carson said softly. I felt the tension in the air and I felt a shiver go down my spine. I'm not going away until I hear why all of you are arguing. Luna Crystal, KY can smell you from a mile away. And Ryan, stop hiding in the corner trying to pretend you're not there. I can smell you too. I heard a gasp and the room got quiet. Both the Luna's heartbeat and the Alpha's had slowed. Emmy, how about we go and play with the children? Yes. Luna Crystal got up from her seat and stalked towards me. I felt her grab my hand softly and I put my head down. The Rouges that took your sight aback. They want another war. I whimpered and heard a loud growl. I stood frozen and felt her grip on me tightened. Dylan roared and slammed his hands down on the table. I heard more growls in the air and chairs being knocked down. Calm down, Dylan. I felt more tension making me whimper more. Dylan then sat down. Crystal, I need to talk to your gamma for a bit. Make sure everyone is prepared dealing with anger. I could feel it. Ryan went quiet at his tone and Crystal started to lead me out the room. I heard another roar and crashing as Crystal started to speed walk. It's okay, Emmy. Carson says that these Rouges shouldn't be a problem this time. They lie. Chapter 1. Everyone straight line, please. We are all going to the same place. Hey Thomas, there is no need for pushing. I just sat there listening to the sounds of women and children passing by as they all went underground or into the pack house. I sighed, putting my head down, and I felt Crystal's presence sit next to me on the couch we were on. Emmy, there's no need to worry. This is just a precaution like we do every time. Last time didn't work. Whispers in my ear were driving me nuts. I put my hands to my face, rubbing my temples from the starting headache. I know. It's just I can't help but worry. I just can't. She rubbed my arm trying to soothe me, and then we had a crash. Everybody started to scream and run into the house. They are here. Emmy, we need to go now. She pushed me towards the doors and everybody had gotten inside. I waited patiently as she started to lock the doors. Then there was a bang on the door, sending her flying back. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The banging on the door increased to the point where I could hear the wood starting to break. I gasped and ran over to where I sensed Crystal was. She grabbed my hand and started to sprint towards the underground. That's when I smelt it. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. More screams and wails screeched the air. We need to find Carson and Dylan. I yelled. I then felt her hand being snatched away from mine and an unfamiliar scent. She was muffling something and I smelled the air confused. Someone grabbed her. She was struggling and all I could do was stand there helplessly. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Run down T, look back. I gasped and I heard her struggling against someone. I listened to her and began to run. People were shouting at others to come after me while I blindly navigated my way through the house and out the door. I then felt a wave of heat hit me. I fell to the ground screaming and felt tears running down my cheeks. Dylan. No. I got up struggling a bit and followed his scent. I struggled, still having the pain wash over me. KYA in heat? I asked and heard screams of agony. No, he's dying. I gasped, making myself run faster towards the source of the screams. I tripped over something because I couldn't see where I was going. I felt my arms get scraped and I kept going. My wolf made me stop and I heard his voice. I sank to my knees and felt around, feeling his face, and I put his head on my lap. Dylan. Your hurt. My hands found S's chest and I felt a big gash there. I pulled away as my hand started to burn. Wolfsbane. Dylan D. Don't leave me, I whispered, and I felt his hand come up and cut my face. Pumpkin, I can't promise you that. He strained his voice and he started to cough. I felt his warm blood spatter onto my ripped dress. Suddenly his head cocked to the left and he coughed again. Go and... No, Dylan. I'm not letting go of you. I'm dying, Emmy. Go before they catch you. I felt his heart start to slow down and he wiped a tear from my cheek. Go and... No. I can't. You can't. Why, you can tell Al, leave me. I gritted my teeth and I heard snarls. They were coming for me. He then touched my mark he gave me a few months ago and stroked it. I'll always be with you. Now. Go. I then felt his heart stop and he went limp in my arms. Immediately a wave of pain hit me, making me cry out. I started to sob in his bloody chest, not caring about the stinging sensation of the wolfsbane. I kept crying until my mind came into focus. The sounds around me seemed to get louder as a pounding headache came on. My shoulder was burning to a point where I thought it was gonna melt off. I got up shaking from my position. I did what his dying wish was and ran. I kept running through the darkness, barely avoiding trees. That's when I smelt it. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Smoke. I kept stumbling over simple rocks. KYA help me, I said in my head with panic. No response. OCM on. Suddenly the noises of the screams and blood-curdling wails. I don't know who lived. Who died. Only one. It's been days. It's felt like it. No sign from anyone. Dylan. He was gone. Just like that. In a blink of an eye. I used to be able to see him before the accident. But that's when we weren't mates. I miss him. But he left me. He left for good. I felt water droplets on my skin start to get harder and harder. It was raining. No more like pouring. I winced as the water had hit my scars that raced down my arms. I went under a tree and sat down. I then cried. I still felt his pain. The wolfsbane. I felt it burning at my chest. I laid down still crying in the darkness and I felt a gust of wind. It picked up my hair and then I immediately stopped crying. I'm on another territory. Get out of here. This is own territory and you are seen as a rouge. I felt myself turning into my wolf before I knew it. I struggled running. Still not able to see nothing. I then fell, feeling my legs get wiped from underneath me. I smelled another wolf. It's a she-wolf and she's hurt bad. What should we do? It was a man's voice and suddenly the crack of bones. I whimpered a bit. Bring her to the dungeons. The alpha will see to her. I felt someone come close to my small wolf. Shift a man said, and I did. He had an authority to his voice making my wolf respond. I lay there with ripped clothes. He picked me up bridal style. I'll contact the alpha, another man had said, making the man who picked me up nod. As if I wasn't already swarmed by darkness. I was consumed by it. My senses had all died off. Chapter 2. I woke up on something hard. Concrete. I kept sniffing around, smelling blood. Sweat. Wolfsbane. I gulped a bit and felt something on my ankle. It was a chain. I ran my hand along it, finding it to be a long chain connected to the wall, which was also the cold, rough concrete. My hands flew up to my face and my scarf wasn't there. I always kept a cloth on my eyes to hide the scars. They took it. Whoever took me took it. I whimpered again and footsteps. They were coming closer. I scrambled my way to a corner of the cell I was in and curled up. They took me. They are probably gonna punish me for when I crossed the border. Then I heard the sound of keys, followed by a nun's scent. They unlocked my cell and walked in. Get up, Rouge, and open your puny eyes. I always kept my eyes closed. If I opened them the slightest bit, they would hurt. Thus why I kept on the scarf. I felt the man pull me up by the hair, making me gasp. Open your eyes when told to do so, runt. I can't. I remained silent and stiff, finding me a punch to the stomach, sending me back down. I groaned and went to all fours trying to stand up. I heard another click and the shaking of keys and my ankle latch came off. You're lucky the alpha wishes to see you, or I would have rid you the second I put you in my cell block. He pulled me up by my ripped up dress and pushed me towards an opening. I put my hands out trying not to walk into anything as he pushed me along. I then felt the ground rise, making me realize there were steps there. Dylan would normally help me up steps. I wanted to find railing or anything but none. Walk, runt, he shouted, making me cautiously walk up, trying not to trip. Then that's when I smelt it. The fresh air, filled with new scents from new wolves. Everybody's voices got quiet, turning into growls as I walked by. The man who brought me from the cells had his hand on my neck, making my head go down, and he tugged on me to walk faster. I did on command and ran into something on my head. I groaned as the headache I already had. Grown worse. Were you blind or something? Open your eyes and maybe you can see where you're walking. He barked, making me whimper at his tone. He stepped in front of me and pulled me back as I heard the creaking of a large door. He pushed me forward again. I felt the cooler hit me in a scent. Mate. Kill purred and I stopped walking. Dylan. It was his scent, but he's dead. I felt it. The man behind me pushed me along. I heard a growl and after a few we stopped. Bow down went to the alpha. I stood still trying not to see him weaken. The man behind me kicked at my legs, sending me to the ground. I heard a loud growl sound through the air. I whimpered and the scent of Dylan got closer to me. His footsteps sounded the same pace at my heart. Who hurt her? The voice was demanding, making me shudder. It wasn't Dylan. It wasn't, but who was it? She was found limping across our border. She turned to her wolf and the beta and Gamma had found her. We thought that because she was a she, wolf with injury, we bring this to your attention. I felt my hair then being pulled and bringing me up. Another growl sounded, making the man's hold on my hair loosen a bit. Get your hands off of her head. I felt KYA purchased his voice. The male's hands then unattached themselves from my hair, making me almost fall over and someone catch me. The touch instantly making me freeze and him too. His breath stopping. I want to speak to this Rouge'll own silence. Now get out, he sounds odd after a while, and I heard other wolves scramble out the doors. They were all mumbling and whispering. The last of the door sounds had stopped. Who are you, Rouge? His voice was cold. Sure, not caring about the slight prickles shooting through his body. I gulped and stood up, trying to not wobble. When an alpha tells you to do something, you do it. He hissed at me. I bowed my head, feeling his heated glare upon me, and tightened up. Emerald. I'm emerald green. He seemed to stay still in the same position, and he shifted. And why are you on my territory? He spat back, making the fear of him enlarge. I am my pack. We were attacked. My mate told me to run as his final words, and I did. Be best I could. He stood still for a moment, not talking. Stiff? His heartbeat slowed in a moment after picked up to normal speed. You said mate. You had a mate before. He growled a bit and I nodded. Open your eyes and meet my gaze when someone with authority is speaking to you. I bit my lower lip, bitting on its weight a bit. I felt him grab at my wrist and tug it, making me stumble a bit. When an alpha commands you, you do it, runt. Why is he doing this? He's nothing like Dylan. I can't. I cried out, on the verge of tears from his tone at me. And why not? It is not that hard. Like on command, I opened my eyes painfully, only to cry out from the pain. I am blind, my eyes stunned, and his breath stopped. Maybe in shock. Maybe in anger. Chapter 3. Close them right now. I shut them back only to cry out again, and he shifted, taking a shaky deep breath in. I then heard something tear, and he put a cloth over my eyes and helping me tie it in the back. With that until I so got it. He spoke with authority, time to his voice, making KY inside me whimper. I nodded and gulped. His heartbeat slowed, and soon enough the doors opened and footsteps came in. Take her to the farthest from my now. It was the same scent. The man who took me from the cells. He pulled at my hair, making me cry more. And if I find one scratch on her, consider yourself forbidden and left to the dogs forbidden. Fate like death. If you are forbidden from the pack, you are a traitor to the pack and become a rouge. The man behind me nodded and tugged up my ripped up dress, tugging me backwards and leading me farther and farther away from Dylan's scent. He kept pushing me and tugging me to different places, and then he stopped me. I felt outwards to a door. You're in. Stay here. Don't come out. Your room. Stay here. Don't come out, he barked again, making me nod. He opened the door, pushing me inside and locking it behind me. I jumped as he slammed the door shut. I sighed and put my hands out, trying to feel my way around the room. Guess I'm staying here for a while. I felt around, eventually finding a bed and laying myself on it. Eventually falling asleep. I woke up to someone lightly knocking on the door. At least my hearing ability grew over the years. See, come in. My voice was raspy and I heard the door open. I sniffed the air. Girl. Younger than me. Alpha Rider has requested me to assist you. Says you need to get ready before he comes be back. That was his name. To my agent extraordinaire, Myron Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Kya purred at the name, making me shut her out. Okay, I simply said. The girl came closer, and then turned, going farther away. There was a moment of silence. Oh right, you're blind. Here, let me lead you. Her tiny footsteps got closer, and she lightly grabbed my hand. She tugged at me and I started to walk forward. I smelled water and this had to be the bathroom. She let go of my hand, leaving me standing there, and walked over to the scent of the water. A squeaking noise sounded, and the flowing of water stopped. My name is Annie, if you were wondering. I'm your personal Omega, my head titled a bit. Omega? I questioned. Yeah, Alpha requires the ones who don't fight. Mostly women to be Omgazer. In the Omgazer we have our own ranks. I'm in a higher rank than most due to the fact I work with the Alphas personally. There are 4 ranks. Cleaners, houseworkers, child caretakers, and personals. Personal is where I st, and we never had Omgazer in my old pack. I simply nodded. Just so you're not freaked out and I help you in the bath. Requires you to take your clothes, are you alright with that? I nodded and she cleared her throat. She told me to put my arms up and I did as she pulled up the ripped up dress, helping me out of it. Her breath hitched when she went to look at my back. Why, your scars, they huge. Disgusting. Horrible, I choked back a sob. I know. Well, I'm sure you can figure out the rest. Towel is on top of the toilet and if you need anything shout. I nodded softly and I heard her footsteps leave the room and close the door. I stripped off of my bra and panties and stepped into the warm bath. I purred a bit and dunked myself in, feeling the bubbles go up. I felt the rust scars on my body burn. I clenched my teeth and sunk in more, seeing if I would get used to the pain. Eventually I did and I felt around. Where's the soap and shampoo? Oh, Annie. The door opened with a bit of a creak. Yes, Luna. I frowned at the name. See, could you help me with my hair? I sensed her nodding and I sat there biting my lip. Something lifted, making a banking sound against the tub. I felt her take a cup of water and pour it on my sizzled hair. She squirted something and then dug her hands in my hair, scrubbing. If you don't mind me asking, how long were you blind? I heard silence. Since I was maybe 13. 13, she gasped. I'm so sorry. I felt her rinse my hair again and grab another bottle and scrubbing my head. Don't be, you didn't take my eyesight. She stayed silent for the rest of the time and I enjoyed it. Gee, guess I can tell you about Alpha Rider. He's not much of a talker about himself, really, she went on. I laid back as I felt the conditioner in my hair go to work. Just know that well, you probably know that he's basically king to all alphas. His kill count can outdo at least 5 warriors. Rumors go around that he was the one that killed his brother. My eyebrows went up. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbe. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Yeah, but only a pack knows the truth. Alpha Rider gave his brother the easy way out by killing him. It was best again silence. After a few minutes she dumped more water on my hair and began to comb my hair. The mixture to make the bubbles are supposed to help with scarring, so I'm leaving you and here the longest I can. I nodded as she continued. She got me dressed in which she said was Ryder's favorite color dress, leaving me barefoot with an anklet around my ankle. Well, like I said before in the bath. Need anything, shout. Need to get food or something, shout. If anything, shout. There is a guard posted outside your door at all times, so mind you try not to walk out by yourself or you'll get ambushed. I smiled at her remark and her footsteps seemed to disappear. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbe. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I questioned. Her footsteps stopped. Yes, Luna. How old are you? She tunes deep breathe. I'm only 14. With that she left, leaving me open-mouthed. Chapter 4. I waited. Complete silence. Darkness. Well, I'm used to that part. After about an hour. Footsteps and a smelling scent of vanilla and a mix of coconut. It reminded me too much of Dylan. I whimpered at the thought and heard the door open. Emerald, his voice was stern. Hey, Annie said you wanted to speak with me. I heard the door close and he started to walk towards me. The scent. It made KY inside me howl with pleasure. Take off your mask. He didn't come too close to me. Maybe a few feet away. Slowly my hands went up to the damaged cloth he wrapped on my eyes earlier. He took it from my hands. Our fingers touched, sending tingles. I gulped and heard him doing something and then he stopped. I'm holding out something, he then eventually said. I felt around, making me touch his arm, and then found a cloth. The gazer insisted me giving this back to you, he said. Straightforward. I nodded and then held it up to my nose. Dylan. I managed to figure out the difference between their scents. Dylan had a bit of a stronger coconut smell. Ryder's was a stronger vanilla. They didn't wash it, which was good, and Dylan's scent was all over it. I kept sniffing into it and seemed to have tears brim my eyes. Do you need a moment? He caught me out of my trance and I shook my head. See, can you just help me with it? He grumbled something and then walked closer to me and went behind me. I held it up and he grabbed the ends, making a knot in the back. There his footsteps then left from behind me and he started to walk out. Wait, he stopped. What is it? I wanna get to K, know you. I heard him sigh and seemed to turn in a thump sound. I tilted my head, still putting my head down. Ask away, silence. W, what do you look like? I need an idea, he grumbled. I don't know. Brown hair, dark eyes. A muscular I nodded slowly. Can I leave now? I'm way too busy for this nonsense. Wait, one more question. He grumbled under his breath. What color is my dress? Why? Annie said it was your favorite color. I heard him open the door. Yeah, it reminds me of how much blood I shed this past week, he spat before he left. He slammed the door shut and started to talk outside the door. I walked forward, trying to find the door. I managed and put my ear to it. Don't want to see her in my sight. She walks out of this room. You follow her. She can't see you, so best mask your scent. Keep quiet. Got it. Another man then spoke. Yes, Alpha. Good, if you don't follow my rules you better be suspecting a month in the cells and my men will do what they want with you. The man seemed to be shaking. Why, yes, Alpha, I growled silently behind the door. How can you treat your pack like this? Both men then stopped talking. Ryder started to walk away and the man on the other side's scent was gone. I growled a bit. Why is mate being so mean? You whimpered a bit, making me growl again. He's ruthless and taking people's lives seems to be like a sport to him. How are you doing? I'm fine. Let me out though, and I could get us out of here. I nodded, finding the latch on my dress. I pulled it down and felt KYA shift. Bones cracked, making me whimper. I finally shifted. You want control, don't you? I asked, making her purr. Of course, human one. I rolled my eyes, letting her take control. Next thing I knew, I was outside. I was still in my wolf form, laying on the grass quietly. I don't think anybody noticed. That's when I picked up a scent. They didn't smell rouge, and that's when I heard them groaning. I got up slightly, still unable to see anything that's going on, and growled. I started to back up and then bumped into something. Or rather someone. I yelped and then turned around, baring my teeth. They were from this pack. I could sense some were human while others that were closer to me were wolves. Strong ones at that. I whimpered as one of them snapped at me, making me fall back. They all snickered and then a howl. In wolves there are different howls for different communications. One being for truce. One being for surrender. One for someone's hurt. One for a gathering. And one for attack. Yeah, I need some help here, I heard her growl in me. I got yucked. I growled at the wolves around me and they started to get closer. There's too many of them. Someone nipped at my tail, sending a splint of pain up me. I yelped and another bit into my leg. Blindly, I snapped my teeth until I eventually found someone's neck and I threw them off. More came and were snapping their jaws and biting at me. I yelped at every stinging sensation. Suddenly ice melted. Blood. It was coming from my leg and the scars that were starting to open up. I whimpered and my legs started to shake. What's the matter, little Rouge? Can't have a little fun with the big dogs. A woman had snickered, leaving me growling. She snapped her fingers and I was jumped. I felt like I was burning. Wolfsbane. They spilled it on my back. It was worse than adding salt to it. I then heard hell. Wolves around me started to whimper. Some were ripped off of me and more snarling. Then someone was standing over me and I sniffed the air. It was him. It was Ryder. Mind you all to never touch this wolf again as long as she is in this territory. Back to your post before you join the Rouges in the cells. His voice boomed with authority and everyone scrambled. I felt his deadly gaze on me. He then picked me up by the scruff and lifted me up with his hand. I thought I told you. He cleared his throat. I thought I told you about leaving the room. His hand was directly on where they burnt me, making me whimper. He then put me down. Let's go. I struggled behind him a bit and felt him stop. I felt an arm swoop underneath me and he started to carry me. Cap purred a bit and then unconsciously she licked his cheek. He grumbled a bit and kept going. Chapter 5 Rider's point of view. I growled at his response. What do you mean she won't wake up? The pack doctor flinched at my tone and heads had turned towards us. S, she, I-N, means she will wake up. Just his voice went quiet. Not right now. I growled again and felt my fangs come up. He gasped, holding up his clipboard to shield himself. S, she should wake up in a few hours. I grumbled under my breath and felt my fangs go back down. I turned away and started to walk. I'm gonna murder whoever hurt mate, I growled at Dane's voice. Okay. Why don't you care about mate? She's weak, why should I care? I might as well reject her now. Get it over with, just give her a chance, I cut him off, sending him to the back of my mind and growled. I didn't care. How can I care for the weak? They are worthless. Then why did you save her? I thought I blocked you out. You can never get rid of me, Ryder. He taunted in my mind and I swear under my breath. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Carthart, thanks for your unfailing enthusiasm. My voice beamed to the mind link. I didn't get a response right away. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Carthart, thanks for your unfailing enthusiasm. Yes, Alpha. Respond when asked a question. I'm sorry, Alpha. What is it you need? Bring Quinn into my office. Yes, sir. I shut off the mind link and made my way to my office. I need something. More like someone to take my mind off of things. I sat down on my office chair and started some paperwork while I waited. I heard a quiet knock. Come in, the door opened. Quinn. Pack slut. We all have one. She adjusted her skirt so that it was higher and showed off her legs a bit more. She wore the tightest shirt. That showed off her clearly fake breast easily. She stopped over, swaying her hips, and she leaned over my desk, putting her elbows on it. You called, her voice pad in a low tone. The usual. I nodded, keeping a cold gaze on her. She got up and went to the office door and closed it and locked it. Within human speed, she was already straddling my lap, looking at me seductively. Let's take this upstairs. She came close to my ear, this one, and then she grabbed my hand, leading me upstairs. Someone was knocking on my door to my room. My eyes opened and I growled a bit. Who is disturbing me? Another knock? Harder this time. I got up, groaning, leaving Quinn sleeping in the bed. I grabbed my boxes, which were thrown on the floor. Running a hand through my hair, I opened the door. My beta, Carter, was there. His cold gaze was on me, and his eyebrows rose at my appearance. The rouge you brought into the house is awake. I growled. You could have just mind-linked or waited. I am busy. I can see that. But to the pack doctor you made it seem urgent. My eyes narrowed. He bowed his head again and walked away. I heard a groan from behind me, and turned, seeing Quinn moving. Her eyes opened at me lazily. Babe, who was that? Carter. I closed the door and walked back to the bed. I laid back down my back to her. I felt her cold touch on my skin and she started to kiss my neck. Round to baby. Her voice was low again. I growled in approval and turned over, kissing her roughly. Alpha, a voice boomed in my head. I mentally groaned. What is it now, Carter? I barked back, starting to put my pants on after a shower. I kicked Quinn out earlier. She did her job. Rouges. They request to take a prisoner that said you have took. They won't tell me who. I slid on a shirt and started to speed walk out. I'm on my way. Where are you? North Side Gate. I shut off the mind link and rushed out. Who the hell are they here for? Within a minute I made it to the North Side Gate, seeing a few pack members standing guard at the entrance of the gate. I couldn't see who was there and pushed a pack warrior aside. State your business, Rouges. Now I can see clearly. 2 men and a girl. The woman stood in between the two. She seemed to have an aura of power radiating off her. You seem to have a runt that belongs to us in your captivity. Her voice was raspy. I know not what you speak of, I added a sneer at end and crossed my arms on my chest. A woman. Up for a bounty in the Rouge community. She is a baiter's mate. She came not long ago. I gritted my teeth. Don't play games, Rouge. I need more description. She reached into pocket of her jacket and pulled out a paper. She then handed me the sheet, a picture on it. Her name is Emerald Green. Mate was Dylan Green. She looks like that, and she was reported hurt with scars when she escaped. She is blind and her wolf is a silver wolf. She originally belonged to Leafwood Pack. Looking at the picture, it sure enough was Emerald. My eyes narrowed at the picture. I growled lowly, crumbling the picture, tossing it on the ground. She belongs to this pack as a prisoner and is no treat to Rouges. The woman raised an eyebrow. Sorry, but I didn't hear you, pup. She popped the P at the end. Did she just call us a pup? My wolf growled and I felt my eyes go yellow. I said that this rut belongs to this pack as a prisoner and is not a Rouges treat. I spat at her, and she immediately submitted by whimpering at my tone. Diabol, a sescaput, and her voice was stern. Tell Mortimer. I said hello. I sneered back. You have 10 seconds to get off my territory. Then the men around her whimpered and they ran away with their tails in between their legs. I sighed and felt my eyes shift back to their cold, dead eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What are we to do? Carson stood with his hands behind his back. I stared at him for a moment. Make sure that these walls are reinforced and protected. I looked at all the guards standing, and they replied quietly. Running off. I'm going to talk with a runt. Chapter 6. Back to Emerald's point of view. I gasped, waking up, and I felt like I was dumped in an ice bath. I was freezing, sniffing the air. I think I'm in the hospital. Ugh, my head hurts. I whined a bit and kept sniffing and feeling around me. A bit. A few wolves had been here. Probably nurses and a doctor. I heard the door open and someone's breath hitch. Hello, Miss Emerald. Glad to see you awake. The man's heart slowed and then sped up again. W, where am I? And who are you? I felt the hairs on my back rise and KYA started to growl. No worries. I'm a doctor. My name is Dr. Bodowski. But you can call me Ale. You were submitted into the hospital by Alpha Rider after you were attacked. I groaned. Now I remember. I know you can't see, but now I'm just checking on your needles and making sure they are in place and making sure you don't need a switch. I sensed his footsteps stop by the bed and a few clicks on a machine. All right, miss. Your charts seem okay, but I'm gonna need you to stay for about another few days to make sure. Alpha doesn't like when pack members come out looking like weaklings. He mumbled the last part and made me frown. He treats his pack like crap. I haven't heard one thing good about him from the time I've been here. At my old pack, everyone adored Carson. My old pack. The thought made me whimper. Are you okay, miss? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Slight concern to his voice. I nodded at his voice and sighed. Just thinking, I made my head go down and heard him start walking away. I'm leaving now. Have a good day. Get some rest, miss. I nodded again and heard the door open and then shut. I let out a sigh of relief and lay down. This bed is really uncomfortable. I groaned and eventually, someone's scent awoke me. It was far away, but it would wake me. It's supposed to be in love, to be awoken by a warm feeling in me. But this scent awoke me in fear. His name only sent shivers down my spine. The door opened within the minute and his scent entered the room. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Carpode and I started to shake. How can you not tell me? You're Bater's mistress. He slammed the door shut and I felt him looking over me. His scent was weird. Now that he was closer, I could smell it. The smell making me whimper. And you were with another woman. He growled at my remark. I don't think that a rouge should be in an alpha's business. Now speak, mud. He spat in my face, making my eyebrows knit together and my face turned into a scowl. Why should a rouge respect an alpha's orders then? That is because, as you say, I am or you. He grabbed me by the neck and slowly lifted me up from my laying spot, his fist clenching around it. I scratched at his hands, finding it hard to breathe. The only reason you're alive right now is because of this stupid May connection. You're lucky, Rouge. I would have thrown you in the dungeon and tortured you myself, but guess what? Your lucky day. Your savior is controlling me, I whimpered as his grip tight and letting me to be far from oxygen. Now it'd be best if you start talking pup before I turn my back on the men who are standing outside that door and let them do what they want with you. He let go of me, letting me gasp, breath and cough. Tell me about your pack. What happened to them? Where is your mate? I whimpered the last question, my lungs still burning. We were attacked, I chopped out, the sounds of that night in my mind. No shit, you were fucking attacked. How come I can feel this connection to you when you already have a mate? Tears had already pricked my eyes. Why do you like to torture me? What have I ever done to you? I heard that when your mate dies, the mark on your shoulder should change. I pulled down the clothes I was wearing, revealing the mark. His breath hitched and then there was silence. It was silent for a while. He shifted from his position, getting off of me and standing in front of me. Why are you asking these questions now? I whispered, frightened if he might hurt me again. Rouges. They were at my north border, my mouth fell open. Cool. 2 men and a woman. Why, what did the woman look like? My voice. Small. She looked about her mid-40s. Her hair was raggedy and black. It was curly. Why, I gulped. She was. Kya was about ready to come out. Find that woman and rip her throat out. Who is she? His voice was demanding. His arms came to either side of me and he was close to me. I scooted back a bit, trying not to be so close, only making him go closer to my face. I kept my head down and able to find the words. I'll ask again. Who is she? His alpha voice made Kya want to hide. But she submitted, taking control of me. She's my mother, I growled out, making him stand back up. I heard it all open. It closed with a slam, leaving me a whimpering mess. Chapter 7. A few days have passed. All ready to go. Earl had asked me. I nodded my head slightly and he took my hand, leading me out of the tiny hospital room. If you don't mind, someone else will be taking you to your room and help you move your stuff. I stopped, standing still. I'm moving. I sensed him nodding. Alpha's orders. He requested you to move closer to his room because of the Rouge bargaining for you. I nodded and he kept waking me until another scent had caught into my nose. It was a girl. She smelled of vanilla and jade. The woman had stopped in front of us. Oh, you must be Emerald. I'm where I heard her moving and stuck out my hand, feeling for her hand, and briefly shaking it. Where you're taking her to her room, right? Elle's voice cut through. Yup, she popped the P. All right, Emerald. I believe you're in good hands. Have a good day, bye, Doctor. Her cherry voice ran through the air again. She then grabbed my hand, tugging on me. I almost stumbled forward, but managed to catch myself. You're very energetic. Oh yeah, is that a bad thing? I'm sorry, just normally Ryder doesn't allow me outside my reserved place in the pack house, and not a lot of girls come in that I can talk to. I tilted my head as she kept leading me down the hallway. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We turned a corner. Probably going to my old room. Yeah, here. He's kind of my brother. I heard her scratching the back of her head nervously and my jaw dropped. Ryder has a sister. Yeah. Wait. You know Ryder? I nodded my head. Mate didn't tell sister about us. He hates us, that's why. She whimpered and I pushed her away. Why, yeah. Briefly. After a bit of silence, we made it to my old room. Another sense filled the room. I remember room to the right of the office. Hey George and I swear to God if you drop that. I heard a crash and something shatter, making me frown. What broke? A stupid vase that someone had to drop. I heard growling and someone had pushed past me. I growled at them, making them growl back. Watch it, Rouge, keep your tongue up, I spat back. I then felt someone's hands push me back by my shoulders into the wall. My face scrunched up as the wall had hit my scars. The man was close to my face and held me still. What do we do with a Rouge who doesn't know her manners? I sniffed the air and Ray was gone. Where did she go? Silence was then heard. Jordan. Am I right? I heard him growl in my face. I brought a hand up and wiped the spit he spat in my face. Listen before you get in front of the men that are in here. Mind you back off. What's a little girl gonna do to a pack warrior runt? At least little girls don't have many weak spots. I went to punch him in the face and he grabbed it. I went with my other hand, making him catch it with his other. I grinned, swinging my knee up, meaning him in his manhood. He groaned, falling over. A big thump heard. I heard snickering and some men burst out laughing. Some wolf whistled, saying how he was beaten by a little girl. I heard a door opened and Ray sent him in. Oh my God. What happened? What he got on my nerves. I shrugged and heard her sigh. Hey, get back to work before I do that to all of you. She screams out and I heard everyone scramble back to what they were doing. Now Emerald. Come on. That I felt around, accidentally kicking Jordan, and stepped over him. I walked to where Ray was and followed her out. We walked for a bit and then stopped. Steps. I nodded at her voice and felt around for the railing. To my luck, none. I felt her grab my hand steady and helping me up. I almost tripped a few times but caught myself. So if you need anything, I'm down the hall and Ryder is the one to your right. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. I nodded and she sighed. I got to talk to Jordan and make sure his manhood is okay. Wait. Yeah, what's up? I heard movement as she stopped. W, what do you look like if you don't me asking? Oh yes, sorry about that. Brown hair, actually like more of a dirty blonde. Hazel eyes. A bit brighter than Ryder's. I'm pretty thin. I guess I nodded, and I heard the door open and close. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. He hasn't talked to me at all. He's been simply ignoring me at all cost. I would walk into a room and he would leave it. Maybe because of my mother. I really hate thinking about it. I heard my stomach growl, making me groan. I don't feel like walking. But you're hungry. Yep, you're right. Food over sleep any day, KYA. I chuckled a bit to myself, getting up and making my way over to the door. I opened it, hearing it creak open, and cautiously walked outside, trying to not bump into anything. I successfully, with the help of KYA, made it downstairs and sniffing my way to the kitchen. I reached for the fridge, opening the door and pulled out an apple that I seemed to be able to grab. I closed the fridge, biting into it, and sat up on the countertop. I just listened to the sounds. Silence. It was an eerie silence. Only faint sense of people were near. It was deserted, but I thought a lot of people came in here. I finished my apple, throwing it away, and started to walk. I guess I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings life outside. I could tell by the way the wind blowed through. I sighed, and that's when I heard it. Rustling. It was the rustling of leaves. I tilted my head to that way. Who is there? I can hear you. More rustling of leaves, and then a familiar scent filled my nose as the person emerged from the trees. I kept sniffing and then I dropped. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Hey Emerald, that's when I ran, jumping into my childhood friend's arms, crying. He was alive. Chapter 8. As Jace, we toppled over. I heard a humph as he fell to the ground, taking me with him. I sobbed into his chest as he pulled me into his arms, stroking my hair softly. Hey, shit's okay. It's okay. I shook my head, still crying, and he sat up, making me sit on his lap, covering my face into his broad chest. Still in that position, I almost screamed at him. Why the hell did you leave? Without a word, or a goodbye or anything. I slammed my fist onto his chest and he chuckled lowly. It's just I didn't want to cause any commotion. Your mom wanted to leave quietly. I nodded and kept sobbing. After a while I calmed down and hugged him tightly. I missed you, I sniffled a bit. I missed you to I smiled, as with his thumb he wiped away a tear from my face. Where have you been? Well, you know, since your mom. My dad and I, along with little Alex, ran away due to the situation. We've been with the Rouges. They are not as bad as rumors have said. Actually, Rouges. Wait, someone said something about Rouges. Yeah, I was thinking. That's when I gasped, realizing something. You have got to get out of here now. I sensed him tilting his head. Why is that? After all these years, OL, Jace gets a go away. He's gonna kill you, I whispered lowly. He then grabbed at my chin, making my head jerk up at him. Who's gonna kill me? Rouge Warrior, I heard him moving. Most likely flexing his muscles. Stop joking around, he's gonna. I heard a loud growl and dissent. I immediately stiffened, and so did Jace. I felt his arm grip around my waist protectively. Who are you? Ryder's voice came, sounding as a threat. That depends who's asking, Jace spat back. I heard someone's heart slow and I scrambled. Jace, run. I yelled. I got it, he's only one man. He stood up, gently putting me down and putting me behind him. He's called for Mo. I was cut off by a door opening and snarls and growls. Jace stiffened and snarled back. Fine, coward, call your army to beat up a Rouge. Got to go. He picked me up with one swift movement. Carry me bridal style. I yelped as he started to run with inhuman speed. I heard a howl from behind us and more feet patting the forest ground. We went through twists and turns. I couldn't keep up, that Jace was going so fast. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Don't, he's gonna kill you. You madman. Not if he doesn't catch me. He jumped up and kept jumping. I could only imagine we were jumping from tree to tree. That's when I heard them. They were gaining on us. You need to stop. The punishment will only be worse if you keep running. He growled at my words and kept going. He jumped down in an effort to get away, and I heard the whistle of an arrow. The whistle stopped below us and I heard a yelp. It hit him. He stumbled forward, making us topple over. I groaned, feeling contact with the ground in my wrist. I sniffed around as we stopped, trying to find him. Eventually I did, and I scrambled over to him. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He groaned again, and I put my hands on his chest. I went to his leg and felt blood. And no, Dylan. I'm not letting go of you. I'm dying, Emmy. Go before they catch you. I felt his heart start to slow down and he wiped a tear from my cheek. Go, and I can't. You can't. Why, you can tell Al. Leave me. I shook my head and found that my scarred eyes were filling up with tears again. The memory. It was coming back again. Jace, you're okay. You're okay, you're fine. Not for long. A voice cut in again and made me shudder. He found us. I heard him angrily walking over, and then I heard him kick into Jace, who groaned with hurt at impact. Stop it, you're hurting him. Jace got another kick. I smelled more blood. That's when I jumped in front of Jace, earning me a kick to the ribs. I scrunched up, and then Ryder seemed to have stopped. Breath halting. He took a step back and growled under his breath, as if he was fighting with himself. Take him to the cells. The girl is mine to deal with. I don't think I heard the rest of his words. He after mine. It made KY purr and a weird feeling in my stomach bubbled. I felt his gaze on me and my head bowed in submission. He tried to run away from me. His voice was dark and I felt him look over me. I am sorry. He picked up at my shirt, lifting me from my position, making stare at my face. That makes me mad. And you deserve punishment. What about Jace? What are you going to do with him? He stopped for a moment. Death will give him a visit. I gasped at his words and squirmed out of his grip. I stumbled back, landing on my wrist again. I hissed at the pain. Why, you're a monster. I hate you. But that is physically impossible for you to hate me, and you know it. He spat back. I sensed him crouching down in front of me. That's when I realized what I had to do. I emerald green future Luna of blood moon. Finish that sentence and you die. What do I have left to live for? My mate. My real mate had died in my arms. I was taken by the ruthless king, who was my second chance. A monster with no feelings if he killed a child in cold blood. Tell me, king, what do I have left to live for? He was silent. I emerald green future Luna of blood moon pack. Mid-sentence I felt his fist connect with my head, knocking me unconscious. Chapter 9. Ryder, what did you do to her? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The man by the name of Jace screamed at me. I nodded my head at the guard and he pulled back the weapon, slashing it at the man's back again. He hissed, looking down. trying to contain a scream. Instead, grunting. I didn't think an alpha took orders from a rouge. I bent down to his level and he just kept staring at the floor. When someone with authority is speaking to you, you look them straight in the eye. I motioned to the guard dining the bent-down man another lash on his back. He stuffed a groan and he coughed up blood. He wiped it with his shoulder. Is that what you did to my aunt? He breathed out, making my eyes narrow at him. How dare he? Kill him. Dane was enraged. And why would you think that rouges have a sixth sense? Even though I was born in a pack, I was raised by them. He coughed more blood, taking a deep breath. We could smell fear and torture a mile away. I stayed silent. A bit. So what is it, Alpha? Did you make her reveal her blindness, huh? Did you make her hurt? Did you torture her with the idea again? Again. Mate gone through this more than once. Dane is so bipolar. I turned away from the rouge and my thoughts started to pace. What has this girl gone through? Probably not worse than me. We hope. No, you hope. I tilted my head back at him, biting the inside of White Cheek. Throw him in a cell. I don't care which one. No one. I mean no one. Touch him. He is resourceful. If you think I'm gonna give you information about her, you got it wrong, buddy, he growled out as my guards enchained him and picked him up. His bruised up arms put behind him. Then I guess I'm just gonna have to guess it out of you, rouge, he growled again. Actually, I changed my mind. Throw him in the award. No food, only bits of water. Enough to allow him to speak. I heard him trying to resist my guards, but there is no chance. I growled, rubbing the temples of my head, and made my way up the stairs and into the light-up room of the guard station. I walked out, heading inside the pack house, and immediately I had Quinn hanging from my arm. Hey baby, she put lowly, and I simply rolled my eyes. Quinn, I'm not in the mood. Go home, no fun. But I do know what is fun. She came closer to my ear, and I pushed her off with disgust written on my face. I said, I'm not in the mood. Go home. My alpha voice came, making her pout and turn on her heel, purposely swaying her tiny hips away. My eyebrows knotted together. Without thought, I started to walk and found myself in the hospital wing. Dane, just one visit, please. He whines in my head. Am I gonna get out of this without you taking over me? Nope, I could just see it now. My charcoal black wolf wagging its tail happily. Fine, but only one. He mentally cheered, making my head ache grow. What the heck is wrong with me? I walked towards where I could smell her scent, finding her on the first floor. It was a couple rooms down, and it was in a quiet area. I opened the door silently and saw her. She had a bandage around half her head, and one, of course, covering her well-emerald eyes. I closed the door quietly and walked in, feeling a shiver run down my back. I felt warm around her. It was weird. I pushed back my thoughts and walked closer to her. She had wires and tubes connected to her. I looked at her heart rate monitor, listening to its soft beat. I took a deep sigh. What is she doing to me? One moment she's like any other pack member that disobeys me, but seeing her like this, so helpless, it made me angry. Angry that for some reason I hadn't been in her place. But you did this to her. Dane growled at me. I know. You know. You've been treating her like shit ever since she's got here. The nicest thing you've done was move her closer to you. I growled at him. Shut it. Nope, I'm sadly stuck with you, buddy. I rolled my eyes, and next thing I knew my hand was holding hers carefully, as if she would break. My thumb rubbed circles on the back of her hand soothingly. She's asleep. She won't notice. Why won't you let her notice? Mates make you weak. I can't have a weakness as an alpha. Father would be upset. Screw him. Involuntarily I leaned down and slightly kissed her forehead, letting my lips linger. She moved a bit and the heart monitor started to seem to beat faster. I moved back and darting out the room and into the night. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nolben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I stirred in my sleep, feeling electrical shocks in my body. They started in my head, near my temple, and spread across me like a blanket. I felt warm. I sat up, my senses rushing back, and sniffed the air. Mate was here. I sat there confused. listening to the beeps of the heart monitor. Did he wake me? Why was he here?